All right, it's the. Sorry, I thought this was a fancy dress party. I came resembling the BAFTA nominations or everybody's reactions to the BAFTA nominations, which was what the fuck. Oh wait, I just realised by saying that I've ruined the channel thing, so I guess I'll have to change that to not mild language in the first 30 seconds. That joke didn't work out.
Okay, that happened. Well, as you can tell, I'm in a much clearer state than I have been previously because I finally decided, hey, I have 512 insert here when it comes to this phone, so I might as well just do Discord on the phone so it's easier and not have to mess with my laptop. So, RIP laptop. So, yeah, I did not join you guys for the Critics' Choice Awards because, yes, I was watching an exploding barbed wire match that I very much enjoyed, and I was very happy with what they did on Wednesday to make up for what exactly happened. I enjoyed the pay per view, and I'd love to be able to talk wrestling on this channel again. I might before 2021 is over. If not, 2022, wrestling returns on Popcast Network. That's for you, Ashley. It's happening.
Somewhere over the rainbow.
Bad choice of words. Anyway, so Bry Guy is back in chat. He has the first statement of the line. Guess what movie has reclaimed its throne as the highest grossing film? Yeah, I saw that article too. So the one with the one of the best theme park areas and the worst movies is now the number one movie in grossing now.
Why were Americans that bored that they thought watching Avatar would be good?
Well, I mean, I'll answer it the same way, and AJ probably knows where I'm going with this. Like when I used to work at I really was Dante at one point. I wasn't even supposed to be there today. And the thing about it is that I worked at a video store for a while, and it wasn't RST or anything, but still, I worked at a video chain called Hollywood Video. And one of the things I used to do to get through the day is actually watch Lord of the Rings and Harry Potter because they were long movies and they got me through long shifts. My guess is everybody just had nothing to do on their work at home and they just watched a bunch of Avatar, and that's how we've ended up to what we are now.
I mean, I can think
Cold
of other
open, restaurant
other
quality.
films that are at least 2.5 hours long that are better.
Yeah, the main story I always remembered about you playing movies at the video store was when there was a family in there and you
Bruce
put Bruce
Almighty.
Almighty on and you forgot
Yes.
about the back of you fuckers line.
That was the first time I ever actually ran before everything happened. What I'm at right now, that's probably the first time I ever like shoot ran because of the fact that I had to get from the front of the video store to the back of the video store and vice versa before the words were said when this family would have heard that. It was fine otherwise, but I completely forgot. And I was like, uh oh. And don't forget, AJ, when we used to listen to Tenacious D and the Pick of Destiny soundtrack at the computer at work. That was interesting. I was in box office. The next thing you know, I heard a long, and that's all I needed to hear. And then I took off running from box office all the way back to concession, shut off the computer before anybody heard it, thankfully. I said, no, I'm pretty sure. And then it just went that way. So, yeah, cold open, restaurant quality. I'm back. I don't know why I'm here anymore because I feel like I'm kind of like taking up space and time in this season. But so in a couple years I'll probably watch all the movies nominated for Best Picture, and then we'll do another retrospective video like we did last time.
Don't get me
My name is
started.
Owen. My name is Owen. Joining me as always we have Ashley.
Half the entries, probably for Best Picture, are releasing here in August and not before.
Ooh, that's bad. And AJ.
Yeah.
Exactly. And apparently there's an airplane in the background too. Anyway,
so you can hear that.
Oh, most definitely I can. I have AirPods. Of course I can hear that. I'll blame Dane Cook. So,
Don't we all? Don't we all?
unlike some people in this world, no, I don't. So, So basically, what we've got here is, I don't know what happened with this. I don't know anybody can explain what happened with this. The guild, that's one thing. That's fine. We'll get into that. What we're here to talk about tonight is we're going to go through what happened, BAFTA. Seriously, like, did you just get like 5 people in a tent and like, hey, we're gonna pick the
Hey,
people that don't make any sense and
they
take out all
wanted-
the front runners? And
They wanted diversity, and boy did we get it.
yeah, it should stay a
However,
wooden ship because
through
at this
that-
point,
Through that, we had some get in that, okay, it would be obvious Oscar choices, but then there's obvious Brits who are possibly going to win Oscars that aren't in the BAFTAs.
exactly. So yeah, I don't know what to think about BAFTA. I looked at it and I saw an article that simply says who's not nominated at the BAFTA, and that's where we started. And that's how I knew something was up. And now I'm thinking that BAFTA usually brings people into the conversation, and it may just do that in one major possibility today. But I will say right now that for the most part, BAFTA at this point is like the Whose Line points. They just don't matter. And I've never thought I'd be able to say that. But with this, the BAFTA has made itself not as relevant as it could be to the actual Oscar race, which is a shame. There's still things that are going to carry over like they always do, but I feel like the relevancy is not as high this year because of that.
Well, the thing is, a lot of people are probably going to look at them and see a lot of people missing and assume that those people are taking hits. I think what we probably got to preface it with before anything else is the obvious fact that BAFTA doesn't say anything about the people that aren't here, only about the ones that are here that have been here already. Like the ones that are just continuing their consistency just shows how strong they are.
Right.
So if anybody got a huge boost from BAFTA, I think it would be Kirby.
Yeah,
because everybody was saying, I think she's on the outskirts. I'm not sure about her, and there doesn't seem to be a lot of passion or anything. And now that she's one of the very few that has everything, I would think. I mean, this is a season where I don't want to draw really any conclusions.
I wouldn't, just to CYA.
But yeah, I think that's the main takeaway is people like Kaluuya and Leslie Odom and Chadwick Boseman and Kirby and whoever else is carried over. All it does is strengthen them. It doesn't really go against whoever's not here.
It's building visibility for people that weren't necessarily there yet, though, too.
Yeah, because we were talking about how weird it is. The big thing that made everybody freak out was the absence of Mulligan.
Yeah, tell me about it. It's me we're talking about here.
Who they loved so much was even nominated for Drive. And by the way, Owen, doesn't it really suck when your favorite actress gets all the nominations up to this point, and then even being a Brit, BAFTA still says "fuck you"? Doesn't that suck?
Well, BAFTA knows what it can do with its hat, and I'm going to bring that into 2021.
I was trying to I had these pulled up. I was trying to remember who else completely carried over. Riz Ahmed, Hopkins, McDormand. Yeah, so if anything, this just tells us that Nomadland really is that strong.
That's what Brian just brought up. He says, based on the nominations at BAFTA, it's unanimous Nomadland is winning because it got everything it can get. But the conversation that we had earlier today, which I know we're going to bring into the show tonight, may change your mind on that idea, Brian. We'll get to that
maybe
later
not
on.
Change your mind. Maybe not change your mind, but kind of open it a little bit.
Get you to see a different perspective that you weren't actually thinking about in the first place. Because it did with me, and that was only on a nice little 80-degree walk that I did when I had that conversation with you earlier today, AJ.
And it is, and I mean, if there's one thing you want to bring up, if anybody that wasn't in the race yet is who's being held by BAFTA, is obviously, I mean, when you go back and look at like old BAFTA nominations, there's a lot that doesn't line up with the rest of the awards.
Right.
Like it's kind of been in this. I can't remember exactly when it started because I'm not extremely familiar with BAFTA history, but it just kind of feels like around the time we started following awards closely is when it was like everything kind of lined up a bit, because they got like really inspired and really out of left field a while back. But
I'm trying to remember
if there's like,
because I know what you mean. Because I believe like the British Academy Awards were like normally sort of April or May, so it was actually after the Oscars. I'm trying to remember when they moved it.
yeah, like in the kind of early '90s area.
Hmm.
What the initial direction I was taking that was, we talked about before about how there's been a pattern where people come in around BAFTA, like Leslie Manville and Phantom Thread is a recent example.
Right.
Well, like there's that one nomination that hasn't really gotten in anywhere else, and then it turns out BAFTA's all they needed to get in. Or like in Alan Arkin's case of Little Miss Sunshine, all you need to do is win BAFTA, and you can win. But because I don't buy into the Norbit thing, but
No.
But we look at this, and obviously we say, well, nobody really. This isn't negative against anybody. It's all positive for the people that have been consistent. But the thing is there still somebody lingering in these seemingly weird nominations that is going to push through? And there's something that I said to Ashley in the last video, which was pre-BAFTA nominations, which was, I thought that somebody could have potentially won a lot of hearts with a speech they gave recently, and this could potentially be a movie that the Academy goes all in for. And then lo and behold, that person now has a BAFTA nomination going in as well. And we were talking about with Helena Zengel how it's like, oh, they'll only go, for a child performance every now and then. So it's like, yeah, they went with Steinfeld and Quvenzhané Wallace, but since they didn't go for Jacob Tremblay, maybe they won't go for Helena Zengel either. Well, it apparently turns out maybe Helena Zengel wasn't the child performance we should have been looking out for.
Exactly. It's the different child performer.
Wrong kid.
Yeah, basically.
Right, so we'll start off with the sensible ones. We'll go over to the guilds.
All right. So before we get started, Ashley, I do want to mention something. So obviously, the way that the schedule is, the calendar is, it's like shoot messed up. I know we're going to get into this later, but I just want to verify real quick just to make sure. If I'm correct, are we doing guild predictions next Saturday?
Yes, because the Writers Guild are giving their awards next Sunday.
Okay.
So it's the only opportunity we really have to sort of fit it in before the others, rather than just doing like we'll do 3 for one video and just have us be here for a short 20 minutes, which doesn't make sense when we can just get through all the guilds, which will take up that couple of weeks. And then I to be honest, I don't know how we're going to. I guess we're going to have time to talk about Screen Actors Guilds along with the WGAs and the PGAs, because
we always do the guilds together.
No, but I'm saying we'll have to do obviously those 3, because I'm pretty sure, I can't remember back because it was like a week ago, they've announced that the SAG Awards are going to be 1 hour long. They're literally just pretty much, there's no ceremony about it. They're pretty much just going to be handing them out practically.
I heard they're going to be pre-recorded. They're still going to do the I'm an actor introduction, and they're going to try to do some sort of like comedy sketches or something. But I don't know how you can do the introduction and all those awards and somehow fit sketches in an hour. And it would also have to be, and I'm surely they're not capable of doing this. They would also have to be like commercial free if they're going to do that in 1 hour.
I don't know what what station the SAGs are normally on. So
unless
CBS,
they mean like total the show is an hour, but with commercials it'll be like an hour and a half, if that's what they mean. But I don't know. Yeah, that'll be weird.
So
We'll get to that later.
for documentary feature film, because it always sums what is as a pointer possibly to what will be coming up with the Oscars. We have, again, because they're doing it in order of the directors, these won't be in alphabetical order in terms of film, but we've got The Truffle Hunters, My Octopus Teacher, Welcome to Chechnya, Boys State, and The Painter and the Thief. Most of the, well, I think, was I the only one that had Truffle Hunters in the nominations?
I believe so.
Yeah. You both had Welcome to Chechnya.
I bumped out Boys State because I had it in there, and then I pushed it out because
yeah, that's one that's been around.
I've heard of it.
My Octopus Teacher's also been around a lot. I think it's in one of the others. So whether it's like it's in for editing. It's in for not for cinematography. It's one of the others. I think sound mixing as well. It's in a few of the techs as well for the documentary category. So that's certainly a possibility. I guess
I ousted Boys State.
Painter and the Thief is the outside like to everything. Go ahead, AJ.
I think the only reason I didn't put Boys State in my predictions is it was relatively popular, and we know how the documentary branch feels about that.
Oh, popularity is a death knell for documentaries.
You're too popular, unless somehow it's free solo.
Yeah,
true.
That's the only exception. Somehow.
Incidentally, everyone, since I didn't think Ashley mentioned it, it didn't sound like he did. We're at the DGAs right now.
Oh right, yeah. Sorry. So then for me, let's get to the snub here. First time feature. We have Rada Blank for 40-year-old version. Fernando Friad de la Parra for I'm No Longer Here. Regina King for One Night in Miami. Darius Marder for Sound of Metal. And Florian Zeller for The Father. I'm confused as to why Emerald Fennell isn't in here when it is her first debut feature, or if we've thrown that idea out the way, that if it's your first feature and you get nominated in the main category, you can't get put in first time feature even though it is her first time feature.
I feel like that's happened before though, and it's happened recently in season, I believe, unless I'm wrong, which is possible.
Well, the most memorable one was, Bradley Cooper.
Yeah.
He was in, he was in both. He didn't win.
Okay, no, but are we counting a short film that Emerald did in 2018 as her the reason why she's not nominated for this award?
But there's other people that have done short films or documentary shorts that somehow are eligible for first time feature.
Yeah, because
Darius Marder. Darius Marder's Sound of Metal. He did a documentary short in 2008. But that apparently, that's allowed.
Same thing then.
I just find it weird that I guess
a strong category.
Oh yeah, there's a lot of good names in there, and I'm glad to see I'm No Longer Here getting a little bit of recognition. And to be honest, 40-year-old version, aside from its sort of like, I wouldn't say token entry in the Golden Globes, but it's the Golden Globes.
Mm-hmm.
So then the main five for DGA feature film We have Lee Isaac Chung for Minari, Emerald Fennell for Promising Young Woman, David Fincher for Mank, Aaron Sorkin for Trial of Chicago 7, and Chloe Zhao for Nomadland. Which I'm pretty sure that was the 5 that I put, so I'm feeling a little smug, but also worried because DGA and Oscar nominations don't always match.
I saw the same mistake that's made every single time DGA is released. As soon as DGA came out, I saw the same comments all saying, "Oh, I guess these are the 5 then." And it's like, that's what we say every time.
And there's always
we're
one.
hoping. Well, it's like AJ, you brought up to me the other day when we were talking. Like, we want to be right for the sake of predictions, but that also makes us dislike things that we would normally dislike and want things that we would normally want because we want to be right. So if this is the 5, that's great, but it's not an absolute.
Well, pre guilds, I went all in on Spike Lee, so I'm already fucked. So
that's fair. That's a fair point. And before we started this season, if there was even an idea, Spike Lee was already in my director lineup anyway before we started. So I mean, that's out the window now too. So,
but I didn't put Emerald Fennell in my predictions. But this is a case where, assuming I desperately want to be wrong about her, like I am, like it's devastating to my predictions, but I am so thrilled that she's in this so much.
Oh God, yes, it makes me very happy. And I said this at the beginning of the season, and if I'm proven wrong on Monday, then so be it. But there are going to be 2 women directors in the category. There are 2 females that will get nominated, and I always said it would be 2. I never thought it would be 3. I don't think Regina King is in this at all. But watch me be proven wrong now that I said that. It depends on how much they're going all in on One Night in
Miami. The main forum that I have these discussions on,
yes,
there is a guy on there that you would get along with pretty well. Maybe not to the extent, but not only is he convinced that Regina King is not getting in, he's weirdly aggressive about it.
Oh.
Like
I'm not aggressive about anybody.
Like when anybody brings up, I think Regina King's getting in, this guy's like right there to tell you to fuck off.
Well, here's the thing, AJ, and I know what you're going to say, but actually I'm just going to be the devil's advocate here. Let's say that we do have 3 female directors getting in the picture, which I don't think it's going to happen, but let's say it happens. AJ, I'm sure you're saying that Regina King will bump out Fincher at this point. Because I think everybody else is pretty locked at this point. If you want to talk about if this is the 5 and Regina King is bumping out somebody that's one of the 5.
I would say Sorkin. I know Trial of Target 7 would be at the top of the picture lineup. I am aware of this.
Totally.
But there's so much going for Fincher as far as getting in direct. And remember, I've been about as anti-Mank throughout the season as you can be.
There's no video on this channel for reasons, folks.
But with all the anti-Mank stuff I've said, I think there's no way Fincher misses director.
So you would go with Sorkin. You would have Sorkin out for Regina King if that was the route we go.
Yeah, because there's a lot. Because we were talking about how the Oscars tend to be underrated for how inspired they go with director.
Right.
And it's like Trial of Chicago 7 could be seen as an important or a relevant movie, and that's what's keeping it so where its status is in the race.
Right.
But when your movie is really backed up by relevance and importance, it's shown that the directors can be pretty expendable on those movies.
That's a fair point as well.
So I had an example just in my head, and then I lost it. Because the anti-example will be Tom McCarthy still getting in for Spotlight. But I cannot think of for the life of me what the fuck that. maybe I was going the McDonough route. Because remember when Three Billboards got especially relevant right at the end there when like the Billboard thing started actually happening? and people were actually
Yes.
doing that shit, and everybody was like, "Oh, it's definitely gonna win picture now." And then as soon as McDonough was the one that made DGA, and everybody was like, "Oh, it's gonna be these 5, of course." Uh, and then McDonough did not make it. Then Guillermo del Toro got really comfortable. So, I mean, not
Actually,
that he wasn't already, but I mean, as far as picture goes, obviously Del Toro was going to win no matter what. But
I still like the fact of watching that in an empty theater that was nice and warm seats and everything like that. That's just a comfortable movie to watch, especially when you're just by yourself and there's nobody else in the theater. Ashley, on the shoe on the other foot, what would you say if Regina King would make it 3 female directors? It's not going to happen. Don't get me wrong, and I wouldn't put money on it if I was a Vegas odds maker. But if, let's say, we were to get 3 this year, would you bump out Sorkin or would you bump out Fincher?
Personally, Fincher, but the problem is you've got to think that it's the Academy, and
Right.
they like stuff that's about them. So Mank would be more down their alley than Trial of the Chicago 7.
But then why is Mank not doing any better right now? It's set up to succeed. It's set up for success, but it's not succeeding like everybody thought it was going to.
everybody thought it was going to.
I mean,
Most everybody did.
Somehow I'm wondering whether the general American public aren't enamored with black and white films.
The artist on line 1, Ashley.
Well, I think.
Yeah, but was the artist really popular with the general public?
As someone that worked at the movie theater,
How many people are going to go on Netflix and say they're determined to watch the original intended Parasite black and white version than the westernized, if you want to call it, color version that got all the plaudits?
It's very true.
So, I'm just trying to think. Mainstream wise, I think Trial of the Chicago 7's got more going for it, because it's certainly a more contemporary story than some bloke struggling to write a screenplay.
And obviously, when you talk about the black and white, also not only does black and white put some people off, but the fact that Mank is such an emotionless fucking movie, and it's like the black and white looks stellar. But I mean, add black and white to the fact that a movie is emotionless, and there's such a distance when you compare it to like.
Because really not compelling me to watch it, AJ.
Because everybody hates the very last scene of Trial of Chicago 7, when Redmayne's reading the names and then the music grows and everybody applauds. But
yeah,
which is basically like the anti-Fincher. So that's the thing though, is people who tend to be critical are the ones that hate the Trial of Chicago 7 ending. Show that ending to any other crowd, and it's this big emotional thing. That's why it was added to the script and wasn't something that actually happened.
Yeah.
Was because it would get easy like mass audience.
They did
reaction.
say not all of this is based on, it's only based on a true story. It's not actually a true story.
Yeah, it's like I say about everything. Go to a fucking documentary if you want like the whole. And even then, good luck finding an unbiased documentary on any subject. So we're all, when it comes to historical accuracy, we're all fucked. Just try a book or something, or watch news footage or something.
So moving over to PGA. 7 golfers in contention for documentary feature film. David Attenborough, A Life on Our Planet. Dick Johnson is Dead, My Octopus Teacher. Softy, 1,000 Cuts, Time, and The Truffle Hunters. I'm pleased to see somebody who recognised that Softy existed, because having seen that a few months back, pretty good documentary on. Oh, I can't remember. When it's on Storyville over here, it's got a different name. It's not actually called Softy, which is why it's confusing. It's like everywhere. It's like watch Softy, and it's like, but it's not called that. Yeah, The Underdog and the Battle for Kenya. An honest politician attempting to get elected in a country riven by corruption. It's not going to get anywhere else. Oh wait, they've actually got Welcome to Chechnya on here, and I haven't seen it, and it was been on here for 9 months. Wow, I'm an idiot.
Well,
I ain't got an excuse
I don't
now.
know the relevancy to. I don't know the relevancy to if something is running for PGA that if it's gonna give them a ticket to get into the Oscar race. But it makes me feel good about selecting both Dick Johnson is Dead and Time, because they're both here, so they make me feel confident in
Plus,
being part
I
of
know
my
we
five.
didn't pick it, but my
on
octopus
Monday.
teacher is in here again. So if anything, is that quote unquote the most popular? Because it's in sort of every other awards thing, and normally when that happens, that's the one that gets snubbed. I don't know.
Yeah, I want to say, oh, I regret not going for some of these things. The more you see them show up, but I mean, still, at the end of the day, you remember at the end of Batman Forever when Two-Face went to flip his coin and Batman threw up all the other coins, and trying to retrieve them, Two-Face fell to his death.
Of course.
That's how it feels trying to predict documentary. Just
That's also fair.
There's all those things, and you can reach out for all the different options there. Most likely, you're just gonna face plant to your death. They just go with whatever the fuck. I mean, which is a good thing, because if they just went for the popular shit, it would be like just them going for the popular shit. You get the idea the voters actually watched them when they go for the more outside ones. So there's that. It's sort of like the reactions to BAFTA, where everybody was freaking out that they were so out of left field, but it's like, if they weren't that out of left field, we'd be complaining that they were boring. And
Yeah.
That's the thing. So
you can't have it both ways.
Then for the animated PGA, we have. Oh look, the actual boring 5: Crude's a New Age, Onward, Over the Moon, Sow, and Wolfwalkers.
I'm starting to get less and less confident about not going with Crudes in my Oscar predictions. I was just hoping there'd be a wild curveball, and that's the reason why I went with the Oregon and when I did. But I'm starting to wonder if Crudes is going to get into the lineup on Monday.
I can never remember what's going on with animated, because I know when the Boss Baby got in, for some reason, the explanation was that everybody was voting for nominations, which was an unusual thing. Is that still going on, or have they gone back to it's just a particular branch for nominees?
This year especially, I think it's up in the air.
Because if it's everybody, then that's probably how it's all mainstream shit, which is how I think how the Crudes would get in. But if it's just like a specified branch again, then stuff like, Earwig and the Witch or something would easily knock out something as mediocre and pointless as the Crudes do.
Well, if we look over the other stuff, critics had Farmageddon and Willoughby's in, but no Crudes. But I don't think it had come out by the time they announced the nominations for. Then again, I don't think Soul had. I think Soul won when the thing was awarded on like the 1st of December, and the film didn't release till Christmas Day. They don't do. Oh, they do. Yeah, so it was the same 5 at the Globes, and then for the Annies, they had Onward, Soul, Crudes, Willoughby's, and Trolls World Tour. But Wolfwalkers did make it in for the Independent, aka obviously the G Kids one. So I'd say that's probably about right. Roughly. I don't know. And then...
I was just
Oh, go ahead.
I was just having a flashback to earlier in the year when Trolls World Tour was the first thing that did the widespread streaming debut, and everybody
Yep.
was under the impression it was early enough in the year. Everybody was thinking, "Oh man, that's going to be in the race because it'll be the only animated movie that comes out."
I mean,
I feel so wrong with that.
take into account, and this is well, I'll mention it here, even though it's more relevant to the BAFTAs in a little bit. They've announced over here that Croods is coming out July 16th. So I'm thankful it didn't actually show up in the BAFTA nominations, because then it would have literally been, we're making the rules up as we go along. But then we already have when we get to that thing, because I'll get to that. And then the 10 for PGA. We have Borat's subsequent movie film. Then we move a long way in the alphabet to Judas and the Black Messiah, Ma Rainey's Black Bottom, Mank, Minari, Nomadland, One Night in Miami, Promising Young Woman, Sound of Metal, and Trial of Chicago 7.
I think for me, this is the top 8 plus the 2 surprise that are not a surprise to a lot of people, but are a surprise to others. Because News of the World is one of the ones that I'm starting to question more and more each day. And AJ and I had this conversation, and I want it out here everybody to know that I said this, if it happens or not. I talked myself out of Borat. I really did. I could have easily seen, especially with everything Bacalova's getting, I could easily have seen Borat get in the picture. And I feel that it still could happen. And if it does, I'm going to be frustrated because I was thinking this would happen. I didn't go with it. Just like a double nomination for Cohen, getting a nomination for Borat as well as Chicago 7. But they've only gone for Bacalova so far, and this would be a big deal for it to get into Best Picture. And at this point, it seems like it's just a joke, but it really isn't. It's something that very well could happen on Monday, and it'll suck because I'd be like, I said it and I didn't go with it, because you always trust your instincts, and especially in this season, but I didn't this time, and I feel like I'm going to pay for it big time.
I don't condone this kind of thing, especially lately. But might I throw out a conspiracy theory?
Yeah,
I'm Jesse Ventura. Welcome to Conspiracy.
One probably could have said this in jest earlier, pre-guilds, and it would have been like, yeah, it seems that way, doesn't it? But then something happened when another set of nominations came out recently that now has me convinced that the complete and total exclusion of the Five Bloods in the guilds is malicious and intended. Here's the thing. And I don't know, the only thing I can think of is they're pissed off that he threw a fit publicly and made a scene when Green Book won Picture. Despite the fact that he came back and presented the Oscar, he came back and he presented the Oscar to Bong Joon-ho and completely behaved himself. That doesn't matter. But here's the thing: is yeah, a lot of people were saying the Five Bloods was already on the outskirts. It was losing momentum and all that shit. And yeah, sure, and of course, the guilds went against what I was saying. The Five Bloods is going to have a big guild comeback, which of course is the exact opposite of what's happening. So it's like Lee missed the Directors Guild, and it's like, all right, especially with the options we have, yeah, I can see that happening. That makes sense, I guess. But it doesn't necessarily kill your chances, because there's usually one slot, at least one, that switches out from DGA to Oscar.
Right.
Then there's PGA, if you want to look at that, and it's like, oh, that's odd. Like, yeah, it's odd that News of the World isn't here, and it's odd that the Five Bloods isn't here, especially after it's continued to have problems and not show up. But then another set of nominees came out, and it's like, this shit's on purpose. Anybody get a look at the Cinematography Guild nominations?
Oh,
Where,
God.
yeah, listen to this shit.
Yeah, I might as well
It's
go
the
through
four.
it.
It's the four obvious nominees, and
Mank.
then there's a fifth nominee.
Yeah, so we got Mank. We got Trial of Chicago
Yep.
7. We got Nomadland. We got News of the World. And then, God damn
And
it,
then but here's the thing.
Tim
Here's
Cook.
the thing. But listen to this. Listen to this though, okay? You see Cherry, and you're like, oh, that's random, that Tom Holland movie. But here's the thing. Cherry is a war movie, and the cinematographer is the cinematographer of The Five Bloods.
Oh.
They nominated the guy for a war movie that just happens to not be The Five Bloods.
Oh, hang on.
Yeah.
I'll get my
this is done on
cauldron,
purpose,
and we're going
clearly.
to start stirring the pot. Stirring the pot.
There is. I refuse to believe that's an accident. There is no way. This is bullshit of such a high caliber. It's almost. You will never convince me otherwise that this shit was not on purpose.
I am now wondering / fearing that somehow Cherry is going to get Oscar nominated. Because the Cinematography Guild normally goes pretty similar to what the Academy goes for.
I think. I'm not sure that I'm buying. I was saying the main four. I'm not. I don't really buy Trial of Chicago 7 being certain here, either as Cinematography Guild. But yeah,
I'm thinking of ending things in the Cherry spot. Fry Guy says it's the short films and feature animation branch, the members from the Academy across all branches that want to participate in, and they had to follow some rules which started last year, which is why Frozen 2 missed and Spike Lee screamed Marty last year.
Well, the other thing that I had that's missing from the Cinematography Guild is Tenet, which has also been missing guilds, which is interesting. But yeah, that could be. There's a whole array of reasons that could be.
Yeah, it makes me think that, especially with the nominations for BAFTA, which we'll get in momentarily, I really feel that at this point, the double nomination for Boseman, given the fact that Ma Rainey is such a certainty for a win at this point, even a nomination, it's definitely a win. That's where we're at right now. A double nomination with nominating him for The Five Bloods is just not going to happen. So The Five Bloods could walk out with absolutely no nominations on Monday. It would not shock me one bit. And it seems like, it's got the Austin Aries conspiracy written all over it.
It did get a very cool, and at this rate, unexpected BAFTA nomination, but we'll get to that.
Yes, we will.
So, finally to the WGAs on the guild front. So, for documentary here, we've got All In, Fight for Democracy, The Dissident, Herb Alpert is, yes! Red Penguins, and Totally Under Control. That's in there because it's an Alex Gibney film. I just like the fact there's a Herb Alpert documentary. I want to watch it.
I wish I had more to say when we got here, but I don't usually watch the documentaries till post nominations day.
Mm-hmm.
Like I'm trying not to just leave silent gaps after we go through the documentary nominations.
Well, again, and I don't know how lucky the BBC got with like this, but I'm pretty sure Red Penguins is another one that was on in maybe the last month. Yeah, Murder, Money and Ice Hockey. When an American team, I can't remember which, maybe Colorado, somehow collaborated with...
It's the Pittsburgh Penguins.
That's it. Oh, yeah, because of the name. Collaborating with, I don't know if it was the Russian national team or a Russian club team. Which, gets pretty crazy. But yeah, they've also got Softy, which got in the PGAs that we just mentioned, but also Welcome to Chechnya as well. And also, it hasn't got anywhere, but the Pepe the Frog documentary that a lot of people liked on the festival circuit has been part of the thing and like up for months. So at least I can actually watch some of these now and not wait till they have to come out months afterwards. I guess The Dissident also is worth mentioning because Brian Fogel is one of the writers who was behind Icarus, which obviously got the surprise win. Was it 2 years ago, AJ?
That sounds right, 2 or 3 years ago.
Yeah. When everybody was going for, I can't remember. I can't remember what the big film was that everybody thought was going to win, and then got snubbed, and then there was another one. I might. Screw it! I'm gonna open the previous spreadsheet. Warning: anything.
I remember I do remember Icarus's win being shocking, and I can't remember what the other ones were.
Well, hopefully, this program might tell me. Please, I'm trying to open something. Oh, now it's not responding. Great. So, we'll do adapted first, as the window eventually decides to pop up and open over everything. Thanks. So, for adapted, we have Borat's subsequent movie film, and it's like 17 screenwriters. Ma Rainey's Black Bottom, News of the World, One Night Miami, and The White Tiger.
And we're under the impression that Nomadland and the Father were ineligible.
I believe they were.
That's what I say.
So it's really hard to gauge how here News of the World is.
Yeah.
And whether or not it's ahead of Borat or not.
Oh, Icarus beat Faces Places 3 years ago.
That's the
one. And we just recently lost Agnes Varda, so look what you did. But
right, so thanks IndieWire for the article. Oh, and Thompson, of course. So hang on, I'm trying to see. No, don't give me an advert thing. So yeah, I guess the big thing is Mank and Nomadland are not going to feature. Obviously, not all of they're original rather than adapted, but yeah, they weren't eligible. I'm trying to look at the other ones. Soul, Minari, Mank, Nomadland, Father, Life Ahead, Pieces of a Woman, Emma, Ammonite, and David Copperfield. Because they didn't sign up to the Writers Guild, so we can't acknowledge them. They don't exist. We're turning our back on you. Or we're gonna do the Mads Mikkelsen, turn our side to you. Yes. Never forget.
Well, while we're on the topic of eligibility or ineligibility, there was something I was wondering about. That's it. We're kind of going off, but it's in the whole thing of guilds and being a part of them and all that. Was obviously we're looking at Nomadland continuing to strengthen itself.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously minus WGA because it wasn't eligible, which doesn't ever hurt or anything. But sort of like when Moonlight won in the other category here. But the idea that Nomadland is not in SAG Ensemble, because you might just think, oh, the only people in it are McDormand and David Strathairn, but it's like all those other people. And I was trying to think, is it because I was remembering back when Crash won SAG Ensemble, but they didn't give anything to Michael Pena, which is weird. I don't know if it was like because he wasn't like part of it or something yet. I don't know. But the thing that's confusing is when Slumdog won SAG Ensemble, I don't know how many of them would have been part of it if that's what makes you eligible or ineligible. So I was trying to figure out if there's a thing like that as to why Nomadland wouldn't have made it, or if just Nomadland didn't make it. I really have no idea what those rules are, if there are any.
That's a fair point.
Answers on a postcard. I don't even know how it works without looking in depth on some of this shit. So it's like, get the tea leaves out. That's how we're doing it.
So I just love that not only is he a crucial character, but Michael Pena is like the original poster of Crash.
Yes, he is.
And if I remember correctly, he was excluded from the list when they won SAG Ensemble for whatever reason. But yeah, so that's.
I'd still say it's a relatively strong list, with probably 3 of the 5. Because I think White Tiger and maybe News of the World are the questionable ones there.
Yeah, it's
weird that
really
Ma
annoying
Rainey and One Night are probably locks, just because it's a stage play, so not a lot of work is given. Seems a bit stupid. That's how writers work. You know?
I mean, I would like to think any August Wilson adaptation from now on will be a shoe-in to get in this category.
I guess for me, News of the World is the one that I feel that's on the bubble at this point.
Yeah, I don't. But with all the stars aligning, going all the way back to when the first one came out, I don't know why I'm so convinced that Borat isn't a player. Like, despite being at PGA and WGA.
Borat's an extreme player right now.
You would think the main thing that would convince me, I mean, obviously outside of supporting actors, of course, but you would think the big thing that would obviously convince me would be the first one did it.
Fair.
But I don't, for some reason, my mind just keeps going away from it, but I don't know. My mind opened a little bit when PGA came out, but at the same time, PGA has 10 slots. And we've been talking about how we might have less slots than usual this year, but it feels like we say that every time and it's still the same 8 or 9 somehow. But there's always those things that do get in PGA that are just kind of like nice inclusions that we kind of know aren't going to go any farther.
Yeah.
And I honestly can't tell if that's Borat or not, especially with stuff like News of the World missing entirely. It's really hard to read. But
it feels strange saying this, but I feel like it's becoming more and more of a certainty that Borat's actually a player this year.
Yeah, 'cause it is the thing where it's like, if they love something enough, something can usually carry over, like how it's clear that if Lincoln had not come out in 2012, Denzel probably would have won his 3rd one for Flight. And that was such the case that Flight just happened to sneak into screenplay when nobody was expecting that.
Right.
It's like with Bakalova being, like I said, there's enough cases where I struggle to say anything is a certainty. But Bakalova is really comfortable right now.
For sure.
Like and the fact that she's one of the few that even hit BAFTA on top of everything else. Once again, we've seen that fail with the Daniel Bruhls of the world, and the Emma Thompsons for say Mr. Banks. But if she's as solid as she seems, then that seems like another thing that would just be a big neon sign pointing to the fact that, yeah, or I could probably get in another major category. I don't know why I can't convince my mind to go that direction, but it just won't for some reason. But I'm going to be prepared to be wrong when we get the adapted screenplay nominees. But yeah.
And
I also feel like I'm doubting the Judas and the Black Messiah as well.
Yeah. I may have made the I may be on the right track with the never really sometimes always thing. I just maybe have picked the wrong movie potentially.
then on the original front, we have Judas and the Black Messiah, Palm Springs, Promising Young Woman, Sound of Metal, and Trial of Chicago 7.
Did do we remember, probably not off the top of our heads, if was 20th Century Women at WGA, or was it out of nowhere?
It rings a bell, which is the problem.
Because I feel like when it got its Oscar nomination, it felt kind of random. Like I was trying to remember if there was like that kind of precedent where there is an out of left field choice, but it's something that didn't come from WGA.
I remember what season that was.
Was that original?
2000.
No, I'm trying to think whether it was original screenplay or adapted. I'm guessing original.
Yeah,
what year
right.
was this, AJ?
I'm not. I want to say 2016, but I'm not positive. If it wasn't 16, it was 15.
Did not get in on either one according to this.
The one for 2016 movies, which would be 2017. Is that how they have it?
Yeah,
I should have searched 20th Century Woman.
Or original?
Hang on, let me search for 20th Century Woman.
Adapted or original?
Original.
So it was Get Out, The Big Sick, I, Tonya, Lady Bird, and The Shape of Water.
Oh God, there's a big list of accolades that it was up for.
Yeah. That's 2017. You want to go to 2016?
I did that, and it's not on there either.
It was nominated for original screenplay at the Academy Awards. An independent
Moonlight, Hell or High Water,
Independent
Loving
Spirits.
Manchester, and La La Land.
I legit can't remember if it was 2015 or 2016. Honestly,
well, it was the 2017 awards. So hang on, let me get to where that would be.
Because that was the case for Moon. I just mentioned that Moonlight was in the
won, and the other nominees were La La Land, Loving, Hell or High Water, and Manchester by the Sea.
Which I just said.
And we determined that was the year it got in at the Oscars, 20th Century Women.
Yes.
Well, I ended up making that whole thing, but I forgot about the Moonlight switch, even though I just mentioned it a second ago, which may just make that an anomaly. So, what it all comes down to, what all of that meant, was I'm trying to figure out how good or not this is for Judas and the Black Messiah, because it does feel like, because Judas and the Black Messiah has been consistent with Kaluuya and Song, but it does feel like it's been kind of lurking, like it's been waiting to just kind of take one more category, which some people were thinking just coming in late in the game enough would get it in one of the very low slots in picture, but screenplay does seem like as each day passes, I regret more and more not making it my fifth slot in screenplay. But that once again would require Mank to get snubbed, which remains to be seen as well. The chances of that. So
Yeah, I'd say
I'm assuming we're all
Palm Springs and Judas would be on the bubble, with the other three, I'm guessing, being in Monday's list, probably.
I would say so.
With Nomadland making it in there as well, and then it's probably in place of Palm Springs, and then it honestly is the toss-up between Judas and Mankiewicz.
It is the case where, like, it's weird how you can equate it with different movies. Like, I wouldn't, like, the immediate thing that comes to mind is if Palm Springs got in, it would feel like when Knives Out did last year. But, like, I don't know if it's, yeah. It's a weird case because if Judas and Black Messiah got in, I wouldn't say the same thing. Because they're both comedic, I guess is why I say that. But yeah, it's just the screenplay categories are hurting my head this year. It's like they're so obvious yet so not.
I want to briefly mention it here as we transition between the guilds and the what the hell, because there could also be another what the hell moment this year. We could have an actress get Best Supporting Actress and Worst Supporting Actress, because Glenn Close's performance in Hillbilly Elegy got in the Razzies a few days back.
I'm still not entirely sure people have seen Hillbilly Elegy, or if it's just, I mean, Hillbilly Elegy is not good, but the fact that they would nominate Close and not, like, the main guy just kind of gives me vibes of that's just kind of a bandwagon thing of, oh, she went really over the top and she's got the makeup and it was Oscar bait. Let's just go for that. But I've made my disdain for the Razzies known over the years, but yeah, all this stuff where it's like people being anti Glenn Close getting in, I don't really buy it, I guess.
And to be fair, the most important thing is the most nominations have gone to 365 Days and Doolittle. That's where we know the true torture lies. A 50 Shades ripoff, and I don't know what the hell that was that I just watched. It might have ended Jesse Buckley's career. Movie.
See, what's really interesting to me about Doolittle having that much of a showing is that I just don't really even remember it. Like, how do people remember it a year later? How did they not just instantly forget it? Because that's what happened to me anyway.
I can never forget that what the hell accent that Downey Jr. was. I couldn't even say attempting. It just like uttering out into the world, and people had to try and work out what it was.
It is especially baffling for a guy that's usually pretty good with accents.
Yeah. Speaking of pretty weird, let's get to the most sensible BAFTA. I guess to some extent, the Rising Star Award. Briefly ran this through already with AJ because I mentioned it at the end last week because it was the only one that they put out the week before rather than the day before because. So we had Kingsley Ben-Adir, obviously mainly for One Night in Miami and other stuff. Mufford Clark, probably for her St. Maud appearance, but again she's had a number of roles for a number of years. Bucky Backray for Rocks, from what I remember. I'm trying to remember the other two and what they were in.
Conrad Khan and Sope Derisu?
Yes, but as I say, I'm trying to remember what they were in. So Sope Derisu. That was the thing I was confused about. Sope Derisu's big thing this year was Gangs of London, which was a TV series. He also made an appearance in...
Last movie he did was His House.
Yeah. But I don't remember hearing anything about it. Oh, it's got It's got 100% rating on Netflix. Oh, great. Oh, I see. It was nominated for God knows how many independent film awards, of which it won director, actress. So maybe it's that. But then, so maybe he's got a chance because he appeared in Gangs of London, and anything that is involved with Gareth Evans, I sort of am biased for. I can't think why. Please watch Raid 1 and 2. Please watch. Sorry, I'm trying to brainwash people. And then Comrade Khan was. I'm trying to remember. County Lines.
County Lines.
That was the big one for him this year. But ironically, both Conrad and Sope sort of got their main first major film being Huntsman's Winter's War. I feel sorry for them.
I would say, since apparently TV counts, I would say it wouldn't matter too much that Kingsley Ben-Adir played Obama in the Comey Rule.
Yeah, but keep in mind
Then
this
it's
is
like-
voted for by the British public, and I don't know where Comey Rule got broadcast over here, if anything.
Yeah, because I was thinking BAFTA voters, because my thought was they're not going to care about a U.S. president. Oh wait, these are the people that got the ball rolling on Rockwell and Vice for some reason. So
Don't hang on, Swick transition. Hot damn!
Of course.
It's always there. Whenever that word is mentioned, whenever that man is mentioned, the hot damn transition is here.
no matter how many times we've been doing this, for some reason I keep forgetting the public voting thing on Rising Star.
Yeah.
Forget it every year.
Which has me conflicted, because there's the one that I want to win that might get enough public support. And then there's the one which might be more like what the young people with phones would vote for. I mean, why else would they give it to Kristen Stewart for the year that Twilight came out and she really didn't have anything else substantial? Just
Back
saying.
when we couldn't have foreseen he was actually going to be talented, it turned out.
Yes, but it was at the time it was like somebody that's actually a good star, and then something came of it. I still remember Adam Deacon winning, and then 2 years later he was in prison for sort of fraud or something. It was like, yeah, he's come out of it now, and he's sort of coming back to mainly working behind camera on stuff, but certainly not on camera. At least that I'm aware of. Then we get to the casting, which does have a bit of a British twang to it, because we've got Calm with Horses and Rocks. But we also have Judas and the Black Messiah, Minari, and Promising Young Woman as well.
Yeah, it seemed to be the main takeaway was it sounds like BAFTA voters have spent a lot of time on Netflix lately. That's where like all the movies are.
Well, Rocks
At least
got put on Netflix really quickly, even though it wasn't a Netflix film. So I guess they wanted to sign that distribution wise really quick.
yeah, I was gonna say I wasn't sure if that was just over here, but I'm assuming it was over there also. That like all of these are on Netflix, or most of them.
Promising Young Woman doesn't come out till maybe August. Let that sink in. Somehow it's eligible for BAFTAs when they said the cut-off point was April the 4th, and it's coming out in August.
I'm actually not to rub it in, but I'm actually pretty psyched about the fact that here Promising Young Woman's physical release is this Tuesday.
I tell you,
Which is very
it's
exciting.
as if they just want British people to watch the stuff illegally. It
works.
Promising Young Woman was supposed to come out in a digital release, like actually for you to buy 2 weeks ago, which then disappeared, became coming soon, because they're that adamant that they want people to see it in the cinema that they're willing to hold it off until August. The problem is, because there's now going to be such a backlog of films, including these ones that are probably going to win awards, and already have done in some cases, that there's going to be too many people at the cinemas, and Wave 3 happens. Great thinking,
Yeah.
you idiots. On the other flip of the coin, Warner Brothers literally just said, okay, Lockdown, The Little Things, and Judas and the Black Messiah, we're putting them on premium VOD. I mean, great. It's good that they're there. Why am I paying £16 for a 48-hour rental? Even Blockbuster Video wasn't that bad.
Yeah.
And that was physical.
I saw that in the
Go ahead.
I saw that In the Heights is actually going to HBO Max.
Well, that doesn't exist over here. So that will just again be premium VOD. £16, please. They think people over here have money. Anyway.
Yeah, Judas
Judas
is the only thing playing at my local theater, so Judas, Borat, and yeah, that's pretty much it, because everything else is not getting nominated. So
I dread to think what new films are actually going to come out, though, in May, because all the major sort of blockbusters are all getting pushed to later on in the summer, or, you know, now as it turns out, the UK is getting Bond a week early, so it's actually coming out like the 1st of October, whereas everybody else gets it the 8th of October, just to really piss off international fans, I guess, which doesn't help.
I keep losing track of No Time to Die's release date.
It was 8th of October worldwide. They said they were going to make it simple for everybody, and now all of a sudden, if you go to the Universal Pictures website, it suddenly says advanced preview September 30th, in cinemas October 1st. It's like they didn't even do a press release because they're that like maybe.
I signed up for a stream of Promising Young Woman before it came out in theaters, and they changed the date on it. And
that might be my only chance to legally see The Father, because they are doing a preview screening over here on April. If it's April, I need to double check on the day, because if it is, I don't think it's April 4th, because they said it was a Friday. So it might be April 9th. I might actually be able to watch that. I need to double check the email that the invite came with.
Brian said in chat, on the plus side, on that year, a Steve James documentary Final got nominated with Abacus Small Enough to Jail instead of nominating Hoop Dream and Life Itself. And Bakalova and Giuliani are in for worst screen combo for Borat. At least music is in the Razzies. And why did Wikipedia put Trolls World Tour and We Bare Bears the movie? Add them in the animated lineup when they're not actually nominated or even longlisted.
Because they're sloppy.
Somebody is.
And as my
yeah.
and as my wise Taylor Swift look-alike friend would say, anybody could put stuff on Wikipedia. So there you go.
If Taylor Swift does win the Grammy tomorrow, I just hope she like drops it on the ground. And like, I'm not accepting this because of the Weekend debacle. And
she like Shane Douglas now?
Well, no, she literally like, I don't want to win it. I don't want to win it this way. Even though, you know, she hasn't won it before. And if she just, like, wins it by default because the Weekend wasn't included for whatever reason, and she suddenly is like, oh, thank you, punches may be thrown. I know it's all virtual, but punches. I want punches.
we all know the whole reason is that Howard Ratner runs the Grammys now. That's what's going on here.
There's 87 people of the Hollywood Foreign Music Association, and a third of them got invited to the recording of Emily and Folklore. Right, segue. Back we go. British short film. We have a pretty decent list of titles here, because that's all I know about them. Eyelash, Lizard, Lucky Break, Miss Curvy, and The Present.
Oh, The Present. Is that the same one that's shortlisted for the Oscar?
Oh shit, is it? I just thought it was the sequel.
I think so.
I just thought it was the sequel to The Gift, and I was getting excited.
I think it's like
It possibly is.
yeah, it's about like a dad and daughter that go on like a trip to deliver a gift or something.
I was going to put it in there, and it was one of my last eliminations from my Oscar lineup.
It's weird to see something in British short film that might also be eligible for Oscar short film. It's like, that isn't how it works.
Next.
That was one of the ones that I had in and then I took out, so we'll see how that goes.
And then for short
Same.
animation, we have The Fire Next Time, The Owl and the Pussycat, and The Song of a Lost Boy. So my guess is a film with the word verse starting in it is going to win. I win.
Something with at least three. A title with at least 3 words in it.
I just hope The Owl and the Pussycat is just literally they animated the actual poem by Edward Lear.
It surprised me.
I just hope it is.
We're not giving any credit to the Barbra Streisand George Segal classic. We're just
I mean, maybe.
I'll be the only one on that. I'm fine with that.
Because I'm just going with the Edward Lear thing because British. Too many Americans. Too much Americanism. This is British. To show you how proud we are of a British thing, best animated film. There's only one in there. Wolf Walkers, along with Onward and Soul. So it's I think it's Northern Irish Wolf Walkers. It's Northern Ireland versus Disney. In every sense of the word. At least on the BAFTA front. Because, of course, Shaun the Sheep was only eligible last year. I think it was nominated last year as well.
Am I reading the wrong wiki page? Because I'm best animated film. I've got 5 for best animated. You didn't mention We Bare Bears.
There should only be 3.
According to what I'm seeing on Wikipedia, Onward, Soul, Trolls, World War, Wolf Walkers, and We Bare Bears the movie. This is what Brian was talking about in chat a few minutes ago.
Well, I was trying to look at the list of nominations, but apparently BAFTA didn't want to do a simple thing like do a PDF. It's got to be a collage of links that you click on because, whoa, like, what the shit? No, there are only 3 animated film contenders. Onward,
Why is
Soul,
it not?
and
Why
Wolf
is this
Walkers.
listed somewhere else then? What's going on?
I don't know.
I don't care. Continue.
Whoever it is that's on Wikipedia doing this shit is a stupid son of a bitch that doesn't know what the shit they're doing. Let's
yeah, I
be
can see it
honest.
right here. Animated film. It's listed right there.
I'm literally on the BAFTA
Okay, I'm at
website.
BAFTA.org now, Ashley. There you go.
I'm on the BAFTA YouTube channel. I saw it live. Well, some of it live. That's why I went. I love the chat on that as well. They were literally also, what the, what? It's like, What is this shit? That's what the chat was. It was brilliant. I hope it's like that for the Oscars. And hopefully I don't include that on the screen when we actually show it. So yeah, best film not in the English language. Always an interesting one because yeah, we've got a big one from last year, Les Miserables. But we have got 4 contenders from this year as well, at least in terms of Oscars. In another round, Dear Comrades, Minari, and Quo Vadis Aida. It's fair to say I'm pretty sure that Another Round might be winning this because of how many times it's nominated elsewhere.
Yeah, because it's probably it probably has more big ones than Minari, doesn't it?
Yeah. As long as quote unquote the Wikipedia is accurate, it will probably list. I'm pretty sure that like I don't think Another Round has the most nominations, but is it like second or third highest? With like 5 or 6?
It's definitely got a lot.
Yeah.
It's
Then
it has 4.
oh, okay.
Well, Nomadland and Rocks have 7, and then The Father, Mank, Minari, and Promising Young Woman have 6, and The Dig and The Mauritanian have 5.
Yeah. Sorry. Forgot
That's the first time I've ever had that.
Forgot that existed, but we'll get to that. I'd say a relatively strong list. I mean, the obvious 2 contenders are in there in Another Round of Minari. Les Mis, I think, was always going to fall in just because when it got released, it wasn't eligible last year, so I think it was a strong contender to be in for this year. And then the other 2, as I say, they're in the hunt, arguably, for one of the spots for foreign language in the Oscars, I believe. Certainly Quo Vadis Aida is. I think Dear Comrades is. I'd say it's a relatively...
Yeah, I didn't realize.
Mhm.
I probably would have put more thought into something if I had learned something sooner.
Oh.
I guess Dear Comrades is something that could be a major player in cinematography because apparently it's another case kind of like Cold War where they do the aspect ratio is different and it's also black and white. But I made the same mistake last year of thinking they were going to go inspired with cinematography, and most of the time they do. But last year they were just so fucking lazy, like we were saying before in the tech categories. But if they have their inspiration back, it would be interesting if something like Dear Comrades could suddenly have like what was it, Never Look Away a couple of years ago. People weren't really counting on.
Yeah.
Which I think that was the same year as Cold War because like 3 foreign movies got in cinematography.
So for editing, we have The Father, Nomadland, Promising Young Woman, Sound of Metal, and Trailer to Chicago 7. Which sounds probably about right.
Because I think mostly the weird shit is in the top categories, isn't it? Everything down here is pretty.
To some extent, yeah.
Right.
Makeup and hair. We've got The Dig, which I'd say is the English shoe in here, along with Hillbilly Elegy, Ma Rainey's Black Bottom, Mank, and Pinocchio. It's in there again. I just feel confident now even more that that's probably going to make it in on Monday.
Pinocchio?
Yeah.
Yeah, I feel very confident right now.
Also because it was actually pretty good. Now we just have to see how the live-action Disney version probably destroys it. Yeah. Disney giving us the female Joker and Cruella, at least from the way the trailer looks.
I feel like I keep hearing of it.
It even feels like it's got the same vein. It's just like, yeah. So for
Well,
oh, go ahead.
if there's one thing it'll have in common with Joker, it'll be next year when it gets a costume design nomination, because it will.
Yeah.
Oh God, the didn't the one with Glenn Close get a costume nomination? I think they both did. I think the random sequel did too.
I'm not sure off the top of my head. Speaking of costume, segue. Costume design for the BAFTAs. We have Ammonite, The Dig, Emma, Ma Rainey's Black Bottom, and Mank. Ammonite makes sense here, at least on the British terms and whatever. I'm still loving the fact that Kate Winslet said she wasn't campaigning for Ammonite, even though she clearly was, and nobody gave a shit about it.
I just feel like Winslet has been constantly campaigning, probably since she won.
Just all the time.
We got that a little reversed.
But I'd say that's Emma and Ma Rainey are in there, and I guess Mank's probable, inclusion on Monday. So I'd say that's probably about right. Then special visual effects, we have Greyhound, Midnight Sky because space, Mulan because the one and only Ivan because Jungle Book because Lion King, and Tenet because
the more and more I see the one and only Ivan, it really brings to mind that AJ, you pretty much on the cusp of this, and it feels like it's something that's probably going to happen, and I kind of regret not putting it in my lineup.
Yeah, that's what I was getting ready to say. Was I felt really good about it when I put it in, and this just helps that.
Although I'm still concerned that Mulan makes it in, because then it's like,
I have it in my list.
Is that or Greyhound the war movie?
That would suck if Mulan got in here. That just can't happen. I mean, I'm glad they're taking the first right step. Wonder Woman is obviously not in the visual effects race, thank Christ. But now the next step is pushing Mulan out of it next.
Production design. We have The Dig, The Father, Mank, News of the World, and Rebecca.
Number one, fuck Rebecca. Number two, what is up with all the Emma snubs in production design? That's the one thing I remember about it.
I mean, in terms of production design, from a British standpoint, Dig is an obvious one. Although I'm thinking because of, again on the British terms, because of the scale of having to do everything, the Father's probably the shoe-in here. Because obviously having to change the set, I think they tried to do it in the same way that they did it on stage, where obviously you can do a lot of it hidden sort of in camera, when you look away and whatever, but they tried to change the set flowingly, how things would change because of the Alzheimer's and everything. So in that terms of production design, that seems like an obvious choice. I'm probably showing my hand here as what I think could win at the BAFTAs, but I think that's why it should be in contention here. I mean, Emma might, but
yeah, because the more I hear, the more
I'm trying to remember whether it had shortlists, production design or not. No, it didn't. Great job. Oh, Wonder Woman was eligible.
Oh God.
Production design.
Yeah, well, okay. While we're on the topic of Wonder Woman, that is one Razzie nomination that I will actually be okay with. Apart from all the ones music got, was fucking Wig. Finally got what she deserved.
Part of me doesn't feel like Maddie Ziegler deserves the worst supporting actress nomination though. It's not her fault she was given a terrible role.
Yeah, and like forced into it in that really creepy way. But let's see. Oh, what I was gonna say about the father, to come back was I don't want to complain about not having seen one movie after all the problems you're having with release dates. But it feels like the father does feel like such a blind spot. All this stuff that I hear makes sense about why it would be doing so well in the specific categories that it's in.
Keep in mind, Father doesn't officially release here until August. So technically, you and me are the same, AJ. It's just I might be able to pay a $5 to see an advanced preview of it, like before the BAFTAs, so I might be a little bit more confident. Maybe.
So I want to say here its streaming release is like in 2 weeks or something.
Oh yeah, because that's how it has to be eligible for the Oscars. Over here, apparently it was April. It's got to be out by April the 9th. The few days before the award ceremony. And then, the website says coming out in August, and it's like, how? How is it eligible? We're making this shit up as we go along. So, best sound, next up. We have Greyhound, News of the World, Nomadland, Sow, and Sound of Metal.
Is anybody else getting the vibe as far as a chance at actually winning the thing? The combined sound categories is probably the best thing that could have happened to Sound of Metal.
Probably.
Definitely.
Then again, I think Soul is an actual sensible choice there as well, though. I don't know whether any of us had it in there. Okay, you did, AJ. And then, of course, Greyhound is the war film. Or is it News of the World?
Like I said, when I did mine, it was like, which Hanks movie is... I couldn't go with both, so I was like, which Hanks movie is it? And I went with Greyhound, but...
And BAFTA just went both. Let's make it simple. Best original score. We have Mank, Minari, News of the World, Promising Young Woman, and Sal, which interestingly apparently is only credited to John Batiste, not Ross and Reznor. I'm a bit confused. Let me go to the BAFTA website to try and get rid of my confusion.
It says all three, Ashley.
Oh. The British Academy changed their press release.
I've got the BAFTA site pulled up just in case you need anything.
Well, that's interesting. I've just noticed the EE BAFTAs take place on the weekend of the 10th and 11th of April. Are they splitting it over 2 nights? That's interesting. Maybe. But I'd say it's nice to see Promising Young Woman get in here. Which of course means Dayplan misses out. I think the first one that he's missed. out of all the other ones where he could have been eligible, so which means he'll get in at the Oscars. Probably.
I've made it known how much I love Promising Young Woman. And I've seen it twice now. I don't know that I remember the score at all.
Keep in mind, this is the bloody category where the long list also featured bloomin' Ammonite.
Owen Ted. Oh.
No, it had Ammonite, which barely had any score at all. Like, literally. Which is always the best confusing bit. But, I mean, it's likely that that's just going to continue the Sal sweep. We'll see.
Yeah, it would almost be weird if Saul didn't. I almost just called it Sal, like not even thinking about it. What have you
Tracy
done?
Morgan, we love you, Sal.
Yes, it would be weird. It would be weird at this point if Soul wasn't like sweeping score. Like that's, yeah.
I will always call
Top
it.
Hat set.
We'll always call it Sal.
Top Hat says Sal.
Yes.
Vic is pretty good too. Wouldn't be surprised if it made it in.
I think Bry Guy will go through your list on all the categories when we get
yes,
to the
at
end.
the end of the show.
Yeah, I'll try and wrap that up.
Because
All
I need food, something fierce. So let's move along.
So with documentary,
All American Reject style.
Documentary relatively strong, and then David Attenborough flips it a little. So we have Collective, David Attenborough, Life on Our Planet, The Dissident, My Octopus Teacher, and The Social Dilemma. That's a strong list. Obviously, Attenborough wasn't in the short list for the Oscars. It missed out, so...
I remember hearing something about The Social Dilemma, about how it's obviously it's intriguing because of its subject matter, but the subject matter is kind of what carries it, and the documentary itself isn't that well made. Like, it's one of those.
Same I've heard with Dissident. You know, it's an interesting story and everything, but like certain bits are too, I don't want to offend you guys, but like Americanized. As in, it's like, here's this shocking piece of evidence. And then like music kicks in as if it's like bloody, 24.
It's like,
or something.
It's like watching the two different versions of Gordon Ramsay's shows and seeing the editing and the music difference.
Yeah, the British version, it's just like there's no score. And then the American version, dun 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 dun, tonight on Nightmares. Holy shit, what's happened? So then to Outstanding British Film, of which I think, from what I remember speaking with you on Monday, AJ, I called half of these, I think.
That sounds right.
So we had Calm with Horses, The Dig, The Father, His House, Limbo, Mauritanian, Mogul Mowgli, Promising Young Woman, Rocks, and St. Maud. So we got 6 out of the 10. Mauritanian. We'll get to that. I really hope something that actually is British that doesn't get nominated in one of the other ones wins here. Like something like Rocks. I think that'd just be a perfect fit. Then again, of course, here's where we get the issue. because it combines arguably with outstanding debut by British writer, director, or producer. Because 4 of the 5 are in the 10. So for that, we've got Remy Weeks for being writer and director on His House, Ben Sharrock, who was writer director, and Rune Gertubai, who was producer on Limbo. Jack City, the writer and producer for Moffy. Teresa Ikoko and Claire Wilson, who were the writers of Rocks. And then Rose Glass as writer-director and Oliver Kastman as producer on St. Maud. That's a strong debut list. I mean, you know, I hadn't heard about His House, but the fact that it's got 100% and it got so many nominations in the British Independent Film Awards probably means it's worthy of being there as well as in the British film. I'm not sure about Limbo and Moffy. I'm not aware of them. But Rocks and St. Maud were. So I'll probably have to look a little bit more into them so I can try and get one up on you on trying to predict them.
Yeah, somebody, I got His House recommended to me personally a couple of times, like months ago, and the watch list is just so long at this point. I never got around to it. And BAFTA like tripled that watch list.
So, to cinematography. We have Judas and the Black Messiah, Mank, The Mauritanian, News of the World, and Nomadland.
Everybody's going to be looking at it. I don't know if I'm buying this Mauritanian thing as far as going forward.
I'm confused why.
I
am honestly confused why. Because, like, there doesn't seem to be like that much buzz about it over here, even though it's like a British film. Or it's coming out apparently April the 1st. Maybe. In the UK. Who knows? Guess. Oh, hang on. It will now premiere on Amazon Prime Video. I can actually watch it! Yes! My God. Well done, Styx. You signed the right piece of paper. Then I could be even more possibly confused as to why it was nominated for all the awards if it turns out to be okay, rather than really good.
This is another example of I can't tell if we're underestimating Judas and the Black Messiah or not in other categories apart from supporting actor and song.
Yeah, but why do I recognise that name? Sean Bobbitt.
Who is it?
That name rings a bell in terms of cinematography. Wikipedia, please tell me. Like, something in the last few years. Ah, there we go. Cinematography for 12 Years a Slave and Widows. And, weirdly, the rhythm section. Oh, and Spike Lee's Old Boy. Oh, God, sorry. Sorry, I just remembered that the film existed. He's collaborated a lot with Steve McQueen, yet did nothing on Small Axe. Okay. Great job. I knew that's where I recognised the name from, though. So that I don't want to say that's why it's in there, but he is American-born, but basically British, and working with Steve McQueen on God knows how much. It seems like that's possibly why it's in there. Maybe that's the British sort of nod. So I don't know. Then to the screenplays. We'll start off with adapted. We have The Dig, The Father, Mauritanian, Nomadland, and The White Tiger.
It is interesting to see the White Tiger again after WGA. Not that there's... That's like what we were talking about with, are we underestimating Judas and the Black Messiah and other categories? But it's like, it just feels like the categories are so full at this point. Like, is this...
I mean, I partly want to wave the flag at the Mauritanian again. They seem to like that a lot. I'm just hoping it's not because it's a BBC film and this award ceremony is on the BBC. So I don't know whether that has anything. I don't know. It's not coming out until like way too late for me to be able to pay attention to it. So then again, to some extent, Nomadland is, because the only release it's getting over here is April 30th on Disney Plus, which hopefully, but admittedly, it's not going to be premium VOD Disney Plus. It's just going to be put on Disney Plus, so you don't have to pay extra for it. Apparently, wait for that to change, like everything else. I mean, arguably, The Dig here is the more obvious it's in here because it's British and it's good. Because I don't know about Mauritanian. You know, Father and Nomadland being the only sort of ones to cross over. I'm just wondering whether Borat never stood a chance because it felt, at least possibly to Brits, as being too Americanized. Mainly because of its subject matter.
Once again, that always brings me back to it's so weird to me still, and I still haven't figured it out why they went for Vice so much. Like, is that...
Oh damn. Yeah.
I don't know if that's comparable, but it's talking about things that are very American, I guess you could say.
Well, with that, arguably, in terms of like, you know, maybe in that respect, it's more the White Tiger, because obviously Mauritanian is technically British, but it's a British production and it's just partially bankrolled with international money and everything. And The Dig is a British film; it's just Netflix picked up the rights to it. So maybe in that respect, White Tiger is, because it's sort of the international one to some extent. Not sure though. And then on the original screenplay front, we have Another Round, Mank, Promising Young Woman, Rocks, and Trial of the Chicago 7. I guess the left field one here is Another Round. Rocks is the British entry. Another Round is the left field one, I would say.
Well, we didn't mention screenplay, but and me and you did discuss very recently about Another Round breaking into the top 8 somewhere.
Yeah, it certainly has potential to.
There's somebody that's kind of hanging over the top of the best actor lineup right now, and it's something I've seen pop up a fair bit of times as I was searching to see what everybody else was going with. And yeah, that's another thing that I have seen numerous times, and given the spot that I gave to someone else, Mads Mikkelsen has been jumping out as a possible dark horse to slide into that 5th slot on Monday.
I wouldn't rule
and this would be quite a feather in his cap if he would somehow find a way to win the BAFTA.
Because arguably, in the two it would be eligible for in terms of original screenplay and actor. There is sort of like the fifth random insert here, and there is a
Right.
chance for either.
Yeah, because for being as anti-Mank as I am convinced that there is a fifth slot in original screenplay available, which very well could be Manx. But if it isn't, and it's not an out of left field choice like Never, Rarely, Sometimes, Always, or a WGA nominee like Judas and the Black Messiah, that wouldn't be. I don't think that's too outlandish.
Not at all. It happens
Especially
every
like-
year.
Yeah, because the question would be, I mean, obviously let's hypothetically say they really did a different order when they're releasing nominees, and it's like, if we found out Mickelson somehow got a fifth slot in actor, and they hadn't said original screenplay yet, would we count on it coming around in original screenplay?
A lot more than if it didn't happen. Absolutely.
So now we get to the next, before we get to Best Picture or Best Film, whatever they're calling it this year. We have the five others: the acting and the directing. The big thing this year that BAFTA decided to do is expand all of them to 6. The directors, mainly it was trying to get sort of a 50-50 mix of male and female. And for the acting categories, it was to try and get not white people. I don't want to be blunt like that.
They didn't quite go full Critics' Choice, but they got close.
You know, they wanted to get sort of a mix of races and, well, obviously nationalities in a lot of respects.
Yeah,
Didn't they get like a lot of shit? Was that last year? It was very recently where it was like a whole lot.
Yeah.
I saw the funniest comment right after the BAFTA nominees came out. They said if they're gonna play with their voting system and they're gonna pull out all these surprises, they better be careful because they might accidentally nominate Denzel one time. Just once.
Considering critical response over here this week to The Little Things, not much chance. Then again,
he's got Macbeth.
Then
he's
again,
got Macbeth coming.
Then again, technically, he might be doing a Brad Pitt, in that he could win for something relating to Ma Rainey's Black Bottom. He gets in the producing way.
That's true.
So, for supporting actress, we have, I'm guessing it's Neve, because that's how it's spelt when it's Neve Cusack. Neve Algar for Calm with Horses. Kassar Ali for Rocks. Maria Bakalova for Borat's subsequent movie film. Dominique Fishback for Judas and the Black Messiah. Ashley Madekwe for County Lines. And Yoo-Jun Yoon for Minari.
So basically, we have 2 carryovers that are pretty much locks at this point, and then scraps.
No.
That probably won't matter in the long run.
3.
Well,
3.
we do have some cases. We do have some cases where people that really aren't in the race have won BAFTAs, like Bill Nye for Love Actually, or Tandy Newton for Crash, or this goes a little farther back. But remember when Alan Rickman for Robin Hood?
Yep. I think it's interesting that Coleman missed on this one too, because of the fact that they seem to enjoy The Father enough to nominate it multiple times. I don't know why they didn't take the opportunity to nominate the actual actor in the movie.
Keep in mind the diversity thing.
it shouldn't be a thing. If no matter what as long as the performance is good, it doesn't matter what their race is. It doesn't matter what their sex is. It just matter what their performance is. It shouldn't matter. It really shouldn't.
The
It's
problem
ridiculous.
is they're actually good performances though, but they're
Well, yeah,
in
but that also
films
bumps
that
out.
arguably in the old system probably wouldn't have had much of a chance of day getting in the acting categories. Because keep in mind, County Lines has got a lot of recognition in a few categories. That's the only thing County Lines is up for, I believe, outside of Rising Star.
It is also interesting how when you look at Oldman, Mulligan, Cohen, and Coleman, all 4 categories are missing a major Brit.
Yes, that's the interesting thing as well. Other Brits have been given the opportunity. I mean, maybe it's because like those other 4 have. Well, I don't know whether Cohen's won one, but obviously Coleman has. I'm pretty sure Mulligan won for an education, didn't she, that year? I think.
I believe so.
Off the top of my head, and what was the other name that missed? I guess Oldman, technically.
Oldman.
Yeah. Well, he's already got an Oscar.
As does Coleman.
Yeah. So I just think it's a nice way of sort of mixing it up that way. You know, we're acknowledging British performances, not just in international films, but in the British films that people over here would more likely connect to, rather than arguably something like, I mean, the themes of Trial of the Chicago 7, will connect internationally, but because it's sort of around American politics, some people might just turn it off. Even though it really isn't, but it's just that's what it seems like. Especially when it's from the guy that did The West Wing.
I guess the question to take away from this, since we're talking about the fact that the people that missed here will probably still be fine in the Oscars. Like, this isn't necessarily a blow to anybody. Like, it's only putting up the people that have been consistent up to this point. And maybe people that it helped strengthen, like Alan Kim or something. But is the real question here, are the wins going to be as wild as the nominees are? I know that's another video, but that's really the main takeaway I have is, are they going to get really crazy with the wins too? That'll really not tell us anything.
Keep in mind that there's always one of the 4 acting ones that normally goes to. It doesn't always have to be the British actor in the British film. Because obviously the big one that I remember from the last few years was Dev Patel's win for Lion.
Yeah.
Because obviously Lion wasn't a British film, but it was a British actor in the sort of role. Admittedly, that was a year when I think that category was dominated by international people rather than British. So maybe in that respect,
Well, that was the same year Aaron Taylor Johnson was there and got the Globe.
Also, I'm just wondering.
That was that year where
Oh, go ahead.
I said that was that weird year where somehow we all knew Ali was winning, but like a different person took every award.
Yeah. Yeah, it was practically like, we were always going like, is he going to? When all these other things were like not going to him. Luckily, I think we all stayed.
Was wild.
We stayed on the thing, and it eventually turned out right in the end. Part of me is also wondering why we've had this sort of reflection in the diversity of the nominations. Is they added a new rule, which I don't think I think I mentioned it with AJ on Monday, but I didn't mention it with you being around, Owen. Everybody had to watch every single film that was eligible for that award. So they couldn't just say, I'm voting for that person. Which meant people actually had to sort of look at the performances and actually rate them. I'm wondering whether that might have been an aspect in terms of what happened. Anyway,
That's how it should be too.
Yeah.
You shouldn't be able to vote unless you've actually watched the movies.
Yeah. So, maybe that's the one thing that BAFTA did right. When we see that Meryl Streep gets in by default because she hasn't been nominated in years at the Oscars because her name is Meryl Streep. I mean, that was the running joke on here. Meryl Streep because she's Meryl Streep.
Right.
That was the problem.
Well, I stand by. She was robbed for the laundromat. She should have gotten in for the laundromat. I don't know why. Her last one was what, The Post?
Yeah.
That's been 3 years now.
And even,
that's a long time.
Even that felt like why, to some extent. Because it was more like it was a Tom Hanks film rather than her doing a substantial amount in it. Anyway, so supporting actor. We have Daniel Kaluuya for Judas and the Black Messiah, Barry Keoghan for Calm with Horses, Alan Kim for Minari, Leslie Odom Jr. for One Night in Miami, Clark Peters for The Five Bloods, hell yeah, and Paul Rassi for Sound of Metal.
That was really okay. We were talking about how this doesn't really influence anybody. Yeah, I've had Paul Raci in for so long, I keep forgetting this is his first big nomination. And it's like he really needed this.
Did he not get in SAG?
Nope.
Oh no, because of course it's 5. Oh, but Jared Leto did.
Yeah. And yes, I say this is his first big nomination. You will notice I am not counting Critics' Choice because that is not big. So, but yeah, that's a case where I feel like they're gonna go well enough into Sound of Metal that I feel like he's good, especially with his veteran status, even if the general public isn't very familiar with him. And this was a time where I feel like somebody really got a nice boost by getting in here and wasn't just one of the kind of random nominations.
I mean, couldn't the same be said though of Alan Kim, aside from the crying?
I don't think it's random anymore. That's the thing.
No.
Yeah, because that's what we were talking about with Deus Ex Theron. Also, it's just a matter of how hard they're going to go for these two movies.
Yep.
Because these are both movies that they could go in on enough that a random Deus Ex Theron could appear, or a now not so random Alan Kim could appear.
We have a 4-person race for supporting actor right now. It's pretty clear. But that 5th slot's always been in question. And I think this time it could easily go to an Alan Kim, or even though Straight Theron has not been really mentioned anywhere except for a couple of places here and there, if they go all in on Nomadland, it's very possible he could take that 5th slot. And the Five Bloods could go, like was mentioned by Top Hat on chat, it could go Goose Egg, which would suck, but ironically enough, with Bozeman basically in it to win it at this point, there's really no reason to double nominate him, even though I went with that as my prediction. But I mean, it makes sense for an Alan Kim to get this spot, especially if they're going to be heavy on Minari. And honestly, Minari could start at the Guilds, and then it's the Minari show for the rest of the season. Anything's possible.
That's actually I probably should wait till the end to say this, but I'm going to say this now because this is the perfect segue. The conversation we had earlier was the whole thing about how Nomadland's looking really good right now.
Right.
But we haven't had an industry award yet.
Nope.
So is Nomadland good to go? For sure, which it very well could be. Like, it very, very well could be.
Right.
Or Nomadland is The Social Network and Boyhood. Because The Social Network and Boyhood look like Nomadland looks right now at this particular time, pre-guilds.
This is true.
And that's why I was trying to figure out why Nomadland was missing from SAG Ensemble. If it was an eligibility thing with the non-actors or what.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, if something takes SAG and then something else takes PGA, Nomadland could potentially stop right here. And as we saw with Fincher won every damn thing imaginable for The Social Network until DGA.
Yep.
Now, I know Chloe Zhao has a lot in her favor, but there at that time in 2010, I don't know how many people were really following races back then, but at that particular time in 2010, before Tom Hooper won DGA, it seemed like there was no certainty like we had ever seen before with Fincher and The Social Network. I think he was like one of the first. He was like one of the first times where he got all 3 major critic wins, which was like a rarity. And then all it took was Hooper taking PGA, and it was over.
The only thing I'm wondering on the Nomadland front is how much the Disney machine, the Mouse House machine, is going to get behind it. Because obviously it was originally Fox Searchlight, but through the acquisition, it's obviously become their property. And is their strongest, contender for an Oscar in years. Because Disney sort of studios never really got anywhere in the hunt in terms of Best Picture at major award ceremonies. Often. I'm tempted to say the last one may have been Chicago, because was Miramax Disney at that point?
Toy Story 3.
It's funny you bring up Chicago, because I was just going to say, I know people talk about this a lot and really use distributors and campaigning to kind of try to figure what's going to win, but I feel like outside of Weinstein, which obviously hasn't been the case for a few years now, it hasn't played that much of a sure part in the way that Weinstein used to. Where it's like if Weinstein had something and the way he like played dirty in all the different ways you want to take that, seemed like he always went all out with like those really ridiculous campaigns for like The King's Speech and 12 Years a Slave and all that. And obviously the Shakespeare in Love thing started that whole thing. I feel like that's really the main instance where a distributor really played a huge factor, where you could really depend on it basically saying that the race could go in this direction simply because of its distributor. But I don't know. Because Disney has backed a lot of things, and I know a lot of people have the whole thing about how ABC is also owned by Disney, so there's a lot of cahooting, or seemingly cahooting. But I don't know that I've ever fully bought that outside of Weinstein's tactics. But
then this isn't any regular year.
Yeah.
Would it be a big thing to say the only place you can see the Academy Award winning movie is on Disney Plus? I don't know. So
where
I was going to move on to actress before Owen gets more hungry. So for actress,
I'm in the same boat. I'm praying you can't hear my stomach screaming.
So we have.
But it's been going for like 45 minutes.
I haven't eaten in 12 hours, so there you go.
Probably more so. So we have Bucky Baccarat for Rocks, Rada Blank for 40-Year-Old Version, Vanessa Kirby for Pieces of a Woman, Frances McDormand for Nomadland, Wunmi Mosaku, I want to say Moscow, but I don't think it's Masaku for his house, and Alfred Woodard for clemency.
All right, which one of these marks took Carrie's spot? I want to find out who this person
I
is.
mean, I don't want to be harsh on Alfred Woodard's, but obviously for Americans, that film came out last year. The problem is that was again such a powerful, like with Les Mis in The Foreign, it was enough that it should have been in here. I want to say Vanessa Kirby. Because I don't know what's going to happen with that.
I think Kirby and McDormand are fine. Everybody else seems to be extremely expendable.
Well,
and they're not going to be anywhere near the Oscar list.
Rox and his house are the British ones.
Right.
40-year-old version could be number 5. If you have already, Carrie locked in. She's like the 5th, write-in column thing.
At this point, I have that as Cypher-Ed, but I don't even know at this point.
Yeah. But that's what I'm, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah, I've been saying that this isn't. Anybody missing BAFTA isn't suffering a blow because it's so different. But I can't say it still doesn't feel a little validating with the anti-Mank part of me.
Fair.
But yeah.
Speaking of the anti-Mank campaign, Best Actor, as we already mentioned, no Oldman, but instead we do have Riz Ahmed for Sound of Metal, Chadwick Boseman for Ma Rainey's Black Bottom, Adarsh Gudurath for White Tiger, Anthony Hopkins for The Father, Mads Mikkelsen for Another Round, and Tahar Rahim for The Mauritanian.
I think they really clearly really love the White Tiger. And is Boseman going to be Christoph Waltz this year?
In what way?
He won everything. When Waltz actually beat the leading actors before.
Well, we were talking about how the wins for this could be as weird as the nominees.
That's true.
Are we going to completely rule out? Because here's the thing: is Hopkins winning this in any other scenario would not be weird. It would probably be extremely expected. But with what's going on with Boseman, it would be weird if Hopkins won.
It'd be weird if anybody won, really, except for maybe Mads.
So, I wonder if Hopkins actually could win this.
To be honest, I wouldn't rule out Ahmed. Because he was very hands-on with the thing. I'm pretty sure... I don't know if it's this one or Mogul Mowgli that he's producer on as well. I can't remember.
Yeah, so it always helps. It always helps when you got another movie to back you up like he does. And he's one of the few that's been consistent through the whole season. I remember not being sure what was going on with him because I remember him, like, really early in the season, him having Best Actor buzz. And I had assumed it was for Mogul Mowgli because that's the only one I had heard of at the time. And then suddenly I was like, wait, what the fuck is Sound of Metal? And then I quickly learned what Sound of Metal was. And now I'm so glad that I know what Sound of Metal is.
Another convert.
And he is a Brit also, is he not?
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
Yeah. Because one of the first things I saw him after Four Lions was Ill Manners, which is a very overlooked movie that I actually really love.
Oh, I'm trying to remember whether Plan B actually directed that, the rapper, or whether he was just involved with the acting side. I can't remember. Let me double check. No, co-scored and directed and written by Ben Drew, aka Plan B. Oh, it's another BBC film. I'm trying to think. I guess the first big thing. Oh yeah, because Reluctant Fundamentalist was a couple of years after Four Lions as well, so that would have been the major film thing. Trying to see. Oh, he was part of Dead Set. Charlie Brooker's
Director.
Big Brother zombie thing from like 08. So yeah, director. We have Thomas Vinterberg for Another Round, Shannon Murphy for Baby Teeth, Lee Isaac Chung for Minari, Chloe Zhao for Nomadland, Jasmila Zabanik for Quo Vadis Aida, and Sarah Gavron for Rocks.
Yeah, that dude I was talking about that's really aggressively anti-Regina King made an argument saying that he thinks Vinterberg is more likely than King, which I feel is extreme, but I don't know, honestly.
Cold War told us never go against a foreign film. Then again, of course, technically, at least in terms of foreign language stuff, you've got two in here.
Yeah, because Pawlikowski got in here, didn't he?
As well, yeah, which gave us the early warning sign.
I remember nominations morning, right before we started, I was thinking, I feel like I should have gone with Pawlikowski. I don't know why I'm thinking that, but I just really feel that right now. And then that's...
But yeah, I'm just double checking. Yeah, so we have 4 out of the 6 are female directors. We ain't seeing that on Monday. I'm amazed that, and that's
They missed it.
There's the other one as well, Baby Teeth. Nothing, and then gets in for director. Again, it's another one that I heard really good things about, like early last April. You know, in one of the few films that was sort of out on the streaming circuits because of lockdown and everything. So I'm pleased to see it's in here. Sarah Gavron for Rocks also makes sense. The Quo Vadis Aida is just the left field one for me.
Yeah, that whole thing where your movie gets absolutely nothing, but you get in director is usually only in 2 instances. You're either at the Spirit Awards or you're David Lynch. Like, otherwise,
That's another thing we've got to predict at some point. The Spirit Awards.
Yeah.
We usually do them, but not going to be doing those until much later this season.
Now that they're doing that weird thing where they're like, what, 3 days before the Oscars on a Monday or something? Like, what's... I mean, obviously that math doesn't line up, but it's fucking weird is what I'm trying to say.
Of course, the other big thing, Baby Teeth isn't even British, it's Australian. Is it just because, Eliza Scanlon, who obviously got a lot of praise for Sharp Objects, is in it, along with Essie Davis, most notably of, Babadook fame, and Ben Mendelsohn for everything fame. Yeah, I'm pleased. And then best film picture thing in a cinema that may or may not have been in a cinema because it was shut for most of the year. The Father, The Mauritanian, Nomadland, Promising Young Woman, and Trial of Chicago 7.
Where's Minari?
Hmm. I
Yeah.
it's Mauritanian. It's just like, is it that good?
As I said, I noticed that these are so weird. The acting nominees, especially, are so weird. We didn't even mention the fact that Foster's not here, despite how much they clearly love the Mauritanian.
Oh God, yeah.
Too.
But then I guess the problem is, like, other people have put her as supporting actress, but arguably she's sort of the lead actress in it as well. So it's like, what category would she be?
At least people, I know Bakalova was having that problem for a while. It seems people have finally made a decision.
Well, we'll see. Because that's the only nomination for Borat, right? Yeah, it's not
Yeah,
in
it
any of the
should
other
be.
categories. So
Not gonna be the same on Monday.
it's an interesting. It's also weird that, like, they expanded the others to 6, but best film, no, we'll just keep that at 5.
So I guess we talk about the weirdness, but I guess we can probably bask in the fact and kind of appreciate that it feels rare that we're going into a nominations morning as fucking confused as we are. Like it's exciting.
Yeah, I don't think there's a single category where we're not going who's number 5 or who's number, if it's best picture it could be like who's number 7 or number 8, who's just on the cusp of making it in or whatever, which I guess is a pleasant surprise.
And I've pretty much come to terms with the fact that everybody's raising all their middle fingers to Spike Lee this year. So I'm not going in expecting the Five Bloods to do well.
And then
if
we'll see
miracle,
some weird shit happening. Don't worry, Lindo makes it in. Oh yeah.
if by some miracle it does do well, it'll only be surprising. Like if it doesn't, it's expected at this point. So I won't be like that pissed. But the only thing that would obviously be outrageous is something that is just so outrageous you don't even want to speak it, which would be, Mulligan repeating what happened here, but that surely would not happen. I know this is where we get like the "It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia" cut to the title of the episode. Carey Mulligan gets snubbed, but
You want me to curse on this channel? That happens.
all I'm saying is we have Amy Adams, we have Tilda Swinton, we have Emma Thompson. That shit's happened.
How many of those names did I back, AJ?
All of them?
Yep, exactly.
Oh no, that's a terrible sign.
I'm aware.
But
y'all take place this year, AJ? Think about it.
yeah, but if she's pulling an Amy Adams, that means Emerald Fennell still gets in. So we'll take the good with the bad.
And at this point, Emerald Fennell could actually win.
I don't think we should get ahead of ourselves. We'll have to wait till DGA to see if Chloe Zhao can be derailed.
WGA.
How's that?
I think she could win screenplay.
Oh, that's what you mean.
Yes.
Okay. I thought you meant director, and I was like,
No, I don't think that's gonna happen. But screenplay, I think it's very possible.
Well,
yeah, I mean, I feel like it's her versus Sorkin at least at this point.
That's exactly right.
I mean, unless Minari wants to come in, but that's a tough call.
Yeah.
I mean, not that it really matters or anything, considering how there won't be arguably a link between them. But the Hollywood critics did really, really stupidly love Promising Young Woman. So, maybe? We'll see.
Figures the place where Mulligan wins and Promising Young Woman wins screenplay is the award show that I bash the most for its place in the race. But good on them. Good on them for going in that direction. So they get we'll give them a pass this year. And the fact that their show was a lot more organized than the Globes. Well, Critics' Choice just gets a pass this year, I guess. Is that everything?
Yes.
And that's all the BAFTAs and the guilds are discussed. Now we just prepare for squeaky bum time.
Go through chat really quick so we can take it home.
Yeah. So the list of what we've got from Bride Guy. At least basically all these are what is up at BAFTA, but we also mentioned. I think this might be all of them because some of them aren't the ones that were from BAFTA. So Bride Guy
This
has
is Oscar prediction.
yeah. Bride Guy has for live action short DGA, Human Voice, Kicks Leg Choir, Letter Room, and Two Distant Strangers. For documentary short, Abortion Helpline, This Is Lisa, Do Not Split, Hunger Ward, The Speed Cubers, and What Would Sophia Loren Do? For animated short, we got Burrow, Genius Loki, or If Anything Happens, I Love You, Opera, and Snail and the Whale. For animated feature, Crude's a New Age, Onward, Shaun the Sheep Farmageddon, Sow, and Wolfwalkers. For international, Another Round, Collective, Night of the Kings, the Ivory Coast one, Quo Vadis Aida, and Two of Us. For editing, Minari, Nomadland, Promising Young Woman, Sound of Metal, and Trial of Chicago 7. For makeup and hairstyling, Birds of Prey, Hillbilly Elegy, Ma Rainey, Mank, and Pinocchio. Costume design, Emma, Ma Rainey, Mank, David Copperfield, and Promising Young Woman. On VFX, Midnight Sky, One and Only Ivan, Soul, Sal, nearly said it wrong, Tenet, and Welcome to Chechnya. Production design, Father, Mank, News of the World, David Copperfield, and Tenet. On sound, we've got Ma Rainey, News of the World, Nomadland, Sal, and Sound of Metal. For original score, Mank, Minari, News of the World, Sal, and Tenet. Dayplan needs a break because you know he's going to win this year. I'm trying to remember what's he doing next year. Is it just French Dispatch? Or is he doing the score to like Dune or something that I'm not aware of? Original song. You got time to type that, Bry Guy, because I've got the other ones to go through. Original song, Fight for You, Scene, Rain Song, Speak Now, and Turntables. Top Hat does say Huskovic is pretty good too. Wouldn't be surprised if it made it in. Maybe. Documentary, MLK FBI, My Octopus Teacher, Nocturno, 76 Days, and Welcome to Chechnya. Top Hat adding, it seems Five Blood seems like it could get goose egg. The Mauritanians taking over. That's depressing. For cinematography, Bry Guy has got Judas and the Black Messiah, Mank, Minari, News of the World, and Nomadland. People were acknowledging the haircut. Were you not here Monday?
I don't think he was, actually.
Oh no, I don't think Top Hat was. No, from what I remember. Adapted screenplay: Borat, Father, Ma Rainey, Nomadland, and One Night in Miami. And then on original screenplay, Judas, Minari, Promising Young Woman, Sound of Metal, and Trial Chicago 7. Supporting actress, Maria Bakalova, Olivia Colman, Dominique Fishback, Jodie Foster, and Young Yoo Jun. Top Hat adding that it's strange that Bakalova is the only actor to get nominated from every major award. Yeah. Actually, pretty interesting. Supporting actor Baron Cohen, Kaluuya, Alan Kim. Yes, I'm doing it. Leslie Odom Jr. and Paul Rassi. Is it Rassi or Racy?
I genuinely have no idea.
Paul Phoenix from Tekken. For actress, we've got Viola Davis, Andra Day, Vanessa Kirby, Frances McDormand, and Kerry Mulligan. Don't forget to push your clocks forward tonight. Oh God, are you ruining it for me? Are you guys ruining it for me? Have I got to be up an hour later now for like the next 15 days or something? Oh God. Great. I've got to be up earlier now for the Oscars. Son of a bitch. Maybe. I'm going to have to look into that. Thanks for the warning, bright guy. For actor, Riz Ahmed, Chadwick Boseman, Anthony Hopkins, Mad Mikkelsen, and Stephen Yeun. For director, Vinterberg for Another Round, Shaka King for Judas, Lee Isaac Chung for Minari, Zhao for Nomadland, and Emerald for Promising Young Woman.
That'd be wild.
Tarpat rightfully saying it's fucking weird is a good way to describe the nominations. And then Best Picture, Father, Ma Rainey, Mank, sorry AJ. That's what's written. Minari, Nomadland, and One Night in Miami. Promising Young Woman and Trial of Chicago 7, with the backup 10th being Sound of Metal. Remember, Owen got everything right except for Best Picture at the Spirits last year. Don't remind him. He'll get power hungry.
That's interesting. That's interesting that he has Mank in picture. Because did I hear correctly? He has Fincher, Oldman, Seyfried, and the screenplay all getting snubbed.
That's what I
Or was
saw.
it
Yeah.
Continue.
That'd be interesting.
WGA isn't as reliable since a good chunk frontrunners weren't eligible. And then keep typing comments so Ashley will never catch up. Too bad I caught up. You sons of bitches. Yes. It's going to be even crazier come Monday segue. Especially because I might have to get up an hour earlier. The bastards.
Mission failed. We'll get him next time. After I'm not hungry, top hat, sure.
Hang on, when are the clocks changing? See, our clocks don't change until 2 weeks from now. Does that mean for the next 2 weeks?
2 a.m.
God damn it. I guess the advantage is that means the wrestling will all be starting. Oh, great. I put clocks changing in US on Google and it just gives me the UK time. It's not what I'm asking.
At any rate, Monday will be live after the actual nominations because we can sync up better that way.
Oh, really? I was just going to have the live feed going on in the corner. That's the way I was going to do it.
AJ, that's your call.
I just know some, like, even as we do this now, I think we're like off by like a couple of seconds.
Yep.
And that couple of seconds is enough that it would be
Okay.
kind of a clusterfuck. No, I'm assuming we'll get it figured out one way or the other on the day.
Yeah. So I'm just looking for actual help. Like, somebody tell.
So Monday morning,
Yeah, go ahead.
be live, or whether it's going to be right after. We're going to be doing the reactions to the nominations. Do not put anything in chat because we're not going to look at anything. We're literally just going to roll with it. Once it's over, we'll stop the show, and then later in the day, we're going to be doing, and by later in the day, I mean like pretty much instantaneously, we're going to be doing our Oscar discussion for the nominations. That's going to be a separate podcast. So if you have any questions, or if you're not able to be live in chat because you have work or school or whatever reason, then feel free to leave a comment. We'll just get back to you guys sometime later on.
All I know is it's going to be right. So it's definitely. I was confused as to why the Oscar thing said 12, 12:19 or whatever, rather than 1:19. But yeah, daylight saving time means everything's earlier. So I can get to bed earlier for wrestling, but I've got to get up earlier for the awards, which is a bit of a issue. I guess the lucky thing is that I've got to keep that in mind now in terms of actually scheduling shows for next week. Segue again, because as we previously mentioned, next Saturday, time to be confirmed. We're gonna do our picks on all 4 of the guilds. In terms of the order that they're happening, it'll be WGA, then PGA, then SAG. And then DGA is last because it's the week after the SAG. But because DGA coincides with BAFTAs, at least that weekend, we'll probably do the DGA analysis along with the BAFTA stuff that Friday, after the BAFTAs airs. Maybe, unless it's Saturday, because who knows? It's wacky season, and obviously, as I previously mentioned, and I'm guessing you paid attention to the scores, Owen. There's only 2 points separating the lot of us.
I didn't have a chance to yet. Sorry.
You have 27. I've got 28. AJ's got 29. So yeah, it's ridiculously close.
Good.
Topsy-turvy award season means actual competitive, normally for this point it is actually fun, but now there's this part of me that's like, I'm actually wanting to get competitive because this actually looks like a race between the 3 of us and actually who's going to win.
Be nice to win an award season, which I've watched 1 movie, and that includes every category.
So yeah,
that's your show. So that's going to be getting you to the rest of the season. Of course, we're going to be doing several weeks where we're not going to have any content because there's really nothing we can really talk about. But we've got our BAFTA predictions coming up soon as well. We have SAG and the Guilds. We've got the Spirit Awards at some point. And of course, very soon, in the next several weeks, we're going to be doing our official Oscar predictions. So the award season's not over yet. It's just getting started. There's just a lot of breaks in between.
Yeah.
Ashley will be back with more snack stashes, more gaming with Ash, more content on this channel somewhere down the line.
Yeah.
You can follow him at UK.
The gaming stuff is going to have to come some point this week, considering the award ceremony that I might be covering live if I get back in time is the week after. So
AJ, of course, cannot be found on social media, but if you do want to leave him a comment, you're more than welcome to comment on any video that we have. I see the comment first, and we verify validity, and then as long as it's not bad, of course, and I don't mean bad as in it's a disrespectful type bad, then we're gonna sweep it under the rug. But generally speaking, AJ will eventually answer your comment in a video that he does multiple years down the line. Again, that worked really well last time. We'll do that again somewhere down the line. And I've got Voices of Liberty video back on the channel again, which I'm super excited to be able to do that. I've got a buttload of sipping snacks I still haven't done yet, and I even got some more today, actually, so that's going to be taken care of. And after this award season's over, we're going to unbox some stuff, so look forward to that. Lots of AEW figures that are to the left of me right now, so yeah. Thanks, everyone, for joining us, chat, live, or in archive. And as always, I want to thank everyone for watching. Thanks, everyone, for listening. And until next time, boys and girls, stream Snow Globe. And that's all we got to say about that.
So I had to leave that in. It's per the agreement. And as I transition over to just Isle of Dogs, in the words of the late great Murray Walker, there's nothing wrong with his car except it's on fire.